There are so many random encounters. It's almost insane. And now I remember why in the second game I hated playing it. Hey, I'm Shnickerman. If you don't know me, I'm a video gamer who is also a chemist. I really like Digimon. I really like PlayStation 1. I like collecting. I like toys, all of this. Welcome in. This is my podcast where I used to talk with people that are really passionate about video games. That was kind of hard to keep up with. So now I'm going to do a new version of the podcast where I talk to you guys from anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour, just kind of give my thoughts about different topics. And the whole thing is going to be almost entirely unedited. So that way it takes the weight off my shoulders. I can start uploading back to Spotify and my YouTube channel. And you guys get more of an insight into kind of who I am, what I'm thinking about at different times, and maybe where the future of the channel is going if you're interested in that sort of things. So the first thing I want to talk about on today's is that I'm feeling super relieved. I just finished a huge video, which you will see on August the 11th, which was a huge summary of way forward technologies, a video game developer that I really enjoy. Did a lot of research looking into the different games that they released and looking at gameplay, playing some of the games, and just writing a review. I'm trying a completely different style there. You'll see that I used basically AI generated my own voice and tried using that. And the reason behind that, to give you guys some insight on that, is whenever I do videos, I spend probably like 40 plus hours on a video if it's a half an hour or longer. Because I adjust all the audio levels, I found that my voice has many different levels. Sometimes I'm mumbling a lot. Other times I'm peaking the audio. So it takes me a super long time to do that. So I figured if I do an AI generated voice, I won't have to deal with that. But the funny thing is the AI generated me so well that it even puts in my pauses and my breathing, and then it has a pretty variable audio levels for my audio, which is funny because that's the way I actually talk. So anyway, just let me know what you think of that. So let me bust out my phone. I know this is a little bit informal, but this is how we're going to be doing this. So I want to get on track with my normal podcasting schedule. I got a few topics here. I think we'll try to do a little bit of a running segment for the podcast. Okay, so this is what I have going right here. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is that I will be going to the Retro World Video Game Conference, which is in, I think it's Hartford, Connecticut. So if any of you are East Coast people and you want to hang out or at least say what's up, I will be there on Saturday, I believe, of the conference. I think tickets are still available. I'm interested in trading video games. I'm bringing some games that are more valuable that I'm not interested in having in my collection anymore, and looking for key items and collecting different toys and other video games. So if you have anything to trade, be sure to hit me up, and I think that would be a lot of fun. It's actually the first video game conference that I've ever gone to, which I think seems kind of crazy. I'm 30 years old. I've been super passionate about gaming for 20 years at this point, and I just never really was in the right location or at the right time for me to go to a video game conference. I'm excited to meet some YouTubers, hopefully, that I look up to. And so, yeah, it should be a lot of fun, and let me know if you're going to that. Hopefully that won't happen by the time this is up, because I think I should be able to update this soon. So, okay, first segment of the podcast is going to be what games do I love and why? So this will be an ongoing segment, gaming with passion. What games am I passionate about? So today we're going to talk about the series Mega Man Battle Network. Now, admittedly, I've only played 2 video games in the series, but right now I'm going through the Mega Man Battle Network collection. And even playing the first game, which I did not play very much of, there's so much nostalgia in the gameplay itself, using the chips, all that kind of stuff that really brings me back, and the music is so good. The gameplay is brutal, but that's exactly what I remembered. It's extremely brutal, and if you're interested in playing and you don't want to deal with the difficulty, they've actually built in a feature in the new collection that you can basically make yourself super powerful during the battles. There are so many random encounters. It's almost insane. And now I remember why in the second game I hated playing it, because it was just so many random battles. They can be brutal if you don't have the right chips. So anyway, that's a game I'm super passionate about. I have one of the third games, the blue version, and the fourth game, blue version, which I haven't actually played either of those either. I own Double Team, I think it's called, on the DS. So really cool franchise, and that's something, for example, I'm interested in collecting. They have kind of the PET, which is almost like a Digivice that you would basically like put on your wrist, and it has different chips. That's something I'm interested in collecting. I already like kind of collecting Digimon related things that have chips associated with them, so that's something I've been thinking about for a while, so something maybe I would trade for. Other things Battle Network related, I really like the aesthetic of Battle Network. They took the classic villains from the Mega Man franchise. They kind of brought them into the next generation. They made them look all cool and anime and edgy. And I don't know, I just think it's really, really well done. And still, I feel like not a lot of people are talking about the franchise. So that's the first episode of the revamped Gaming with Passion, this game that I'm passionate about and that you should probably check out if you've never played before. All right, so that's the first segment. This initial podcast is probably going to be a mess, but you know, it is what it is. So I think for the next part, we'll just kind of talk about updates in general about myself. For one, you might all notice that this background is completely different. My wife and I moved in May to a larger apartment, so this is kind of the office / guest bedroom thing going on here. I have a lot of posters behind me. My game room / shelves have kind of actually decreased a little bit. Got a lot of stuff in storage, which is really frustrating. So it's making me rethink what I'm really passionate about collecting and displaying, because I just don't have as much room. Trying to off some of the stuff I don't like to pick up other stuff that I do like, or just downsize in general. I'm really embracing my Digimon collecting. It's something I really like a lot. You can see the figures finally are displayed behind me. I got all the original adventure characters with their evolutions there. I got the poster. We brought back the cork board in the back with the stickers. We got some skate stuff there, as well as other video game things. We got the Castlevania Requiem poster, which I enjoy. We got the Trigun poster that I ended up getting from Brazil. And this Bioshock poster I had in my bedroom as a kid for the longest time, and I just refound it and put it there. We got the Silver Surfer and Galactus poster. We got the Mountain Dews on the shelf over there. So we got a new setup here. I'm hoping the audio comes out good. For a while, this room was so empty. It was so echoey. So yeah, I've been moving, still organizing a lot of things. With any move or any change in your life, you got to kind of get control of all the necessities first. So YouTube, of course, has been kind of a backlog for me. I've been working on the Way Forward video for the last probably 6 months or so. I was working on it way before I moved, just took a ton of time. So that's finally coming out. I'm hoping to get you guys these podcasts probably like once a week or once every other week, which I think will be really cool. Hoping to play some more video games besides Battle Network. I haven't really played anything. I started Metroid Dread, which I actually enjoy, but there's something about Metroidvania games, like, I don't know, I get really frustrated, I get stuck a lot, but I had some flights and things, and I was playing Metroid Dread, and I had fun with it. But something about handhelds, too. I don't have my Switch actually hooked up as a console, and I just never find myself playing handhelds really anymore. So that's kind of a bummer. I've been intaking a lot of video game related YouTube. So if anyone in the comments has any good suggestions for YouTube channels about video games, whether it's like obscure games, game hunting, all that kind of stuff interests me. I'm always looking for more, and especially video game related podcasts talking about collecting or underrated games or anything like that. I'm always adding more. During my job, I'm always listening to a lot of podcasts. So that's something that I would like to hear from you guys as well. And so I'm already kind of running out of stuff to talk about here, but I think for the next section, I'll also just talk about, so going forward, what do I find myself doing or focusing on? I've really found that over the years, I get really hyper focused on certain topics and certain video games or certain characters and things like that. And I'll just get so invested. So I think the next video is a perfect example of that. For whatever reason in my head over the last few years, I've been like, wow, WayForward is a really strong developer. They make really good licensed games. But then I was like, well, which ones do they have that I don't know about? Which ones are good and which ones are bad? So I just got so invested in looking at every single game, seeing how many they were, looking at all the consoles they had, playing some of the games and just all that stuff. So that was my newest thing. And I guess a bit of a teaser for things going forward. I mean, there are so many other really niche video games or even things like tangential to video games that I think are interesting. Like I started really heavily looking at the characters like Muppets, but not the show Muppets, but like the Jim Henson puppets and what they have to do with Sesame Street and the Muppet Show. And there's all this lore behind Muppets in general, which I think is really cool. And there are some Muppet related and Sesame Street related video games that might be kind of fun to analyze. So that's like a totally different take on things, but just something that I've been working on. I've been trying to watch more anime in general. So far I haven't been too good with it. I started catching up on like One Piece, but then basically, I don't know, they didn't have the dub on whatever I was watching, so I stopped. I tried watching Death Note, really wasn't getting into it. Now I'm finally back on Digimon Frontier, which I'm finishing up pretty shortly. I was thinking I want to watch Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I started Attack on Titan, just a few different anime things as well. It's hard for me to get the time, and I think that's the takeaway of this podcast as well, is having content that's related to video games, but you're not playing too much of it. So a lot of it goes into research mode and hearing things from other people that you want to elaborate on in different ways. So in the future, you will be seeing more long form videos, but I will be mixing things up with the podcast, short form things. I actually have a video pretty much scripted and ready to go. Another retro video game chemistry episode that's been actually requested by a few people. Those are some of my more popular videos, and in general I have a lot of fun making those, just given my profession and everything like that. So you can be on the lookout for those. I think honestly I'm going to end this podcast here. This will be the shortest probably, but this is some insight into who I am as a person, what I'm interested in. And I would love to hear from any of you and just, give me some feedback. Let's talk about things, games, anime, our lives. I really want to connect with you guys. I feel like my more recent videos, although really fun and really gratifying to make, my sense of personality kind of isn't there because everything is just like a talking head. And especially when I went with the AI voice, I feel like I'm really losing my perspective, not my perspective, because I think I still talk about my perspective in the videos, but just my sense of identity and the brand of the channel. So I will be kind of elaborating on all that stuff more in the future. And so here it is, guys. Look forward to it. Hold me accountable if you don't see the next one in a week. Start yelling at me in the comments. Until the next one, guys. Peace out, and thanks for watching / listening to the Gaming with Passion podcast.